Hey, hi, hello, welcome to Lost.in.prose, where we talk about all things bookish. And in today's video, I will be sharing a few books on my TBR by female authors that I'm really excited to read. So let's begin. Okay, so keeping in mind the theme of the week, basically, and the theme of the month, which is denoted by International Women's Day, which is celebrated on 8th of March. And very conveniently, the Friday before 8th of March was today, that is 7th of March. So I thought of doing something related to Women's Day, and I kind of collected or curated a list of books on my ever so enormous TBR, and which are basically by female authors, but I haven't read them yet, and I really wish to dive into them. Now, I'm pretty sure I can't read all of these in this month, but I definitely will try to read a few. Well, let's dive into the list or the stack of books. The first one, actually, is Night Bloom by Peace Arzo Medi. Now, this book I received last year from HarperCollins, and this is actually a little special because this is the first ever media copy that I ever received. So it's kind of special, and I haven't read it yet. I definitely will. Basically, it's about Selasi as well as Akorfa, who were more than just cousins, they were best friends, and they lived in the small Ghanaian town. And these girls, they basically shared everything, their dreams, their secrets, their aspirations, everything. But as teens, Selassie, she begins to change until Akorfa barely, recognizes the withdrawn girl that Selassie has turned into. So years go by before they actually start crossing paths again, or cross their paths again, basically. And their lives are very, like, extremely different now. And this is where it all starts. Basically, they are trying to bridge the gulf between them, and trying to stop a gap from appearing between their friendship all over again, or basically their sisterhood all over again. So it feels like an empowering sort of a novel, and I am really excited to dive into the works of this author. I haven't read anything by her, and basically the entire list also has one more special feature, which means that I haven't read any book by these authors before. I think there's an exception, and now that I look at the list, but still, mostly, okay, mostly. Also, this book was long listed for the Women's Prize in Fiction in 2024, so I really want to read this pretty soon. Right, next up is The Last Queen by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni. Now, this book has a magnificent cover, by the way, and it is a historical fiction novel. Now, this author is best known for her Palace of Illusions, again, which I have but haven't read. But this author is well known for that book, basically. Now, I will try to dive into her writing. Now, this Last Queen, basically, intrigues me more than Palace of Illusions. So I think I'll read this one first, and why not make it my next read? Because now that I'm looking at it all over again, I really wish to read it like ASAP. Basically, about the daughter of the royal kennel keeper, Jindan Kaur, who went on to become Maharaja Ranjit Singh's youngest and most favorite or last queen, basically. And she became a regent when her son Dilip basically was just 6 years old and unexpectedly inherited the throne. Now she's passionate, she is vigorous, she is full of energy, she is headstrong, stubborn, but very sharp eyed and dedicated to protecting her son's heritage. And she played an evident or a prominent role in to keep the British from annexing Punjab. And her power and influence was so formidable, and it just cannot be overlooked, basically. So that is the story of The Last Queen, and I cannot wait to dive into something like this because I don't read a lot of historical fiction, but I think this one seems very empowering. Again, keeping in mind the theme of the month, so I cannot wait to go into it. One problem with Palace of Illusions that I which is basically a reason that I'm putting it off, is because of the font size. The font size is very small for my preference, but the Last Queen's font size I just checked is pretty decent. So I'm going to be very excited to dive into it. I think that I'm going to make this my next read. All right, next up is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. Now, Sylvia Plath, you've heard so much about her, right? Everywhere you see Sylvia Plath quotes, and I'm like, I really want to read her works, but I'm also very, very scared because her mental, condition was very well known to be ill or very troubled or disturbed, and that's why sometimes I feel that I don't want to dive into it. Maybe I'm not mentally prepared to dive into something intense or something like that, but I feel that The Bell Jar is so well known, and as a literature student, I really should dive into Sylvia Plath's works, like, ASAP. I have read poems by her, and those are extremely beautiful and also sometimes really complex, but then it just clicks and blows your mind. So that is something that I really, really liked. So I just can't imagine how much I would like the quotes from her work, like full fledged work. Basically, this autobiographical novel includes everything um, of her early life, right, where she lived in New York City, and also how she was on the edge of committing something that could lead to her death. So that is basically all in The Bell Jar, and I really want to read it. Up is Emma by Jane Austen. Now, look at how pretty that cover is. I have an entire set of Jane Austen books, out of which I've read only and only Pride and Prejudice. I still have four, five, one, two, three, four books more to read. Yes. So this is Emma by Jane Austen. Now, I have read Pride and Prejudice, so I have picked up a characteristic of Jane Austen's writing, which is that she has really long sentences, like so long, right? But her writing is timeless, and there are hilarious memes that I see about her writing, which is actually the truth. Recently watched a reel or like a book recommendation stating that Emma is much more easier to read than other Jane Austen works, and that really intrigued me because I thought Emma would be more complex owing to its length, right? That's what I thought. But according to that real recommendation, it says that Emma is easier to read. So maybe I want to dive into it. I have watched the Emma movie that came out recently. I found it to be okayish, but like I absolutely love period movies when there's this huge vast meadow or like feel an English countryside that is absolutely amazing. I love scenic movies like that. But anyway, I have watched the Emma movie, so I'm excited to pick up this one, although the length intimidates me for sure. It's about Emma, who is beautiful, young, witty, and is in the arrogance of her youth, and she is throwing herself constantly into the game of pitting one heart against another. This I also picked up in the movie, that she tries to, do like matchmaking stuff and all. So, but the heart is a very fragile or a very fleeting sort of, has a very fleeting sort of nature. And 20-year-old Emma Woodhouse, she must learn the hard way that hearts of those around her cannot always be led on a merry string through the circuitous path of love. So that is where it all begins, and I am very excited to dive into it. I like how Jane Austen's writings are so relevant. Like many classic authors, of course, they're still relevant to date, and that is what amazes me. Like, how were they so far sighted? How can their works be so timeless? Isn't it a like sad state of affairs if you see it that way? But also, if you ponder upon it, it sort of does become sad. But again, that's honestly why I love fiction. I love reading exactly because of that. All right. Lastly is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I have read the most popular quote by this one. Whatever our souls are made of, you and his and mine are the same, right? I think that was the quote. I hope it was. Oh yes, 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 yes. It's written right here. Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same. Before that, I forgot a line. It's he's more myself than I am. So this is I had started this book actually. I had started this book. I'd read a couple of pages, but I was very young back then, right? So I've had this book for quite a while now. So maybe now that I have a little more brain, I hope. So I want to give it another try because now I have analytical and better reading skills, now that I'm a literature student. So it really makes me cry sometimes when I have to read so many poems because I'm not a poem sort of a person. Give me prose, but don't give me poems. Please don't give me poems. But anyway, Wuthering Heights is that was a lot of topic. Wuthering Heights, I am ready to give another chance, like ASAP. So it's a tragedy, I know that. So it's about love, envy, betrayal. It has these gothic sort of themes, and it's about Heathcliff and Catherine who come together in a romance that destroys them and those around them. So it is set in lonely and bleak moors of Yorkshire, and this um begins basically when the new tenant of the Grange, Thrush Cross Grange, Mr. Lockwood, is forced to seek shelter for a night at Wuthering Heights, right? So, this Wuthering Heights is the home of his landlord, Heathcliff. Now, as the night passes, Lockwood learns of the tumultuous past of Wuthering Heights and of those connected to it, and of how a homeless gypsy boy had been fostered here, of how the owner's daughter had fallen in love with him, and of how their love had ended tragically. I did not know that this was like narrated to someone, like to Mr. Lockwood. All right, so this is a very heavy stack of books that I wish to read in the coming year. I hope all these are by female authors that I haven't dived into yet, and I'm really, really excited too. If you've read these and what you think of them, and if there's anything I should keep in mind without being, of course, don't share spoilers, please. So that's all for today. I will be meeting you next week. I have a really exciting video idea for next week already, you see. So no matter, like, it could still be that I shoot it at the end moment, but at least I have an idea, right? So anyway, I hope you like this video. I hope I'll see you next week as well. And if you want to see me next week, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell icon, and so that you don't miss a notification from me. And do like, share, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye.